Well, first I just want to start with thank you all for letting me know the club. I've been really enjoying my time here so far. Everybody's been very welcoming and accommodating. Anybody that I haven't met yet, I'm looking forward to meeting and getting to learn some more about you and what you do and your background and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I'm excited to be a Rotarian. Excited to continue to be involved in this community and in this area. So I am not from Elizabethtown. I'm actually not even from this corridor of the county. I'm from Brownstown, which for any of you that don't know where that is, it's a tiny little town right out of Ephrata. Usually if people ask me where I'm from, I usually just say right around Ephrata because most people, when you say Brownstown, they're like, what are you talking about? So, but I grew up there. My parents still live out there, still live in the house that I grew up in. I went to Conestoga Valley. I was a graduate in 2009. I live in Mount Joy now, so I do live over in this area. But I've worked in Elizabethtown now for about coming up on 2 years, probably the next few weeks. Brought me to the area was my job, which is how I ended up in Mount Joy, which we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I don't have very deep roots in Pennsylvania. I'm actually the first generation of my family that was born here. All of my family's from New York. I don't have a lot of family left, but the majority of the family that I do have left is all here now. But my mother is from Brooklyn, New York, and my father's from Long Island, New York. From a very, very, very Italian family on my mother's side and a Jewish family on my father's side. My mother moved down here when she was about 10 years old. My grandfather, he was an electrician in New York. He had an electrical business, very successful. He was in all 5 boroughs, and I don't know if any of you that are in the trades are familiar with the old work vans that didn't have doors on them, but he went through a stoplight, and this was in the 60s. He got T-boned by somebody and went flying out of the car, and the whole business went under. He was bedridden for about a year. So they always came down to Lancaster on vacation every year. So they made the move down. They moved to Leola, which is where my mother grew up for the most part. So that was kind of how they ended up here. My father and mother met in Atlantic City, so my father never had any plans of being in this area whatsoever, and he fought my mom tooth and nail with moving down here. But if you ask him now, he'll tell you the best decision that he ever made was moving to this area. Just it's a much different lifestyle and a better lifestyle. So, but yeah, my parents, like I said, still live in Brownstown, same house I grew up in. I went to Conestoga Valley. When I graduated high school in 2009, I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I was working at, if everyone's familiar with the Eden Resort, there was a restaurant in there that's no longer open called Garfield's, which I worked there all through high school. I was a busser, a host, and a server, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just kind of trying to find my way, so I figured I'd take a year off, I'd serve, I'd save some money up, enjoy being 19. And after that year was up, I started looking into schools, and there was a supervisor position that opened up, and I took it, and I just ended up kind of moving up from there, and within a year I was the manager of the restaurant when I was 20. So I did that for about 6 years. Has anybody here worked in the restaurant industry at any point in time? So anybody that's done that knows that the restaurant industry is a great place to work when you are of a certain age, and after you get past a certain age, it is not the best place to work, just from and I'm saying that in a restaurant, but from the perspective of having a work-life balance. So I really decided that I needed to find something where I could have steady hours, and that I had an opportunity to grow and to, kind of keep moving up through my career, because anything that I would have done there would have just moving in progressions of the hotel, and I really wanted to get out of that. Being a hotel, we were open every single day of the year, so I worked Christmas, I worked Easter, Thanksgiving. The summers were the worst time of my year because we would have all the tourists coming in from New York and New Jersey, working 65, 70-hour work weeks, just not a very good balance of work and life. And I was, my girlfriend at the time was a teacher, so just completely opposite schedules, so it just didn't really work out too well. So I spent a lot of time trying to find something where I could have a better work-life balance, and I could get into something and kind of start from the ground up and learn something new. And I considered going back to school, and in the midst of that, I saw there was a posting for a part-time teller position at Members First, which I've always heard banker's hours, so I expected that would be exactly how that would be. So, but as Deb can probably tell you, banker's hours are not necessarily a real thing, but they're a lot better than restaurant hours. But I took a part-time teller position, which was a really big decision for me because I was managing a restaurant. I had a salaried position. I'd been there for 10 years, and I was going to go to a job where I was working 20 hours a week and taking a massive pay cut. And it's the best decision I've ever made in my life by far. I learned the foundation of customer service and being able to do the right thing for people by working in a hotel, but I really learned how to be a manager and a leader and to really do what's best for everybody through banking. So I took the part-time teller position. A couple months later, I got a full-time position as a floating teller in the Lancaster region. And then about 3 or 4 months into that, I went to a full-time teller position, and then I got a banker position at our branch in Mount Joy, which was how I ended up in Mount Joy. My fiance at the time was, again, she was a teacher. She lived in Hershey. I lived in Brownstown. It was a nice midpoint. So purchased the home that I'm in currently and moved up this way. And a little bit after that, I became the assistant branch manager at our Mount Joy location. And that was really kind of my peak. That was really where I wanted to be when I started there. I kind of identified that as a position I wanted to move into. And then once I hit that, that was really kind of, I just wanted to be the best version of that I could be. I had no real desire to move into the branch manager role. The assistant manager really did the operations of the branch, and I really liked doing that. It was the scheduling, the auditing, all that good stuff. So I was there for about 5 years, and then the position up here opened up. I guess some of you probably knew Matt Blasi, who I took over for. He left the credit union, and the position opened up, and my now boss met with me, and we talked about it, and I really wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to do, and I took a big leap and took the position. A big part of the job is things like what we're doing here right now and being involved in the community and going out and meeting businesses and being involved in community organizations. And I just wasn't sure if that was something I'd feel comfortable doing, of just walking into a business and trying to talk to somebody, or walking in a room of people I don't know and starting conversations. That was very daunting to me, but I made the decision. I'm going to take a leap here. I'm a very what the right word would be, I'm not a risk taker for the most part. I like to really think things through and kind of have a good idea of where I'm going, and this was not that. And I walked into a very difficult situation from an HR perspective. There was a lot of problems at the branch that I moved into, so I knew I was going into something that was going to be tough. And taking that position would have been probably the second best decision I've made career-wise, because once I worked through the issues that were there, I was able to bring in people that kind of fit more with my culture and my vision. My assistant manager, who's down there right now, who pretty much runs the show down there, actually I brought from the Eden. I've known her for 15 years, so she makes my job a heck of a lot easier and allows me to do stuff like this. But we've really built a really good culture, and it's allowed me to really be out of the branch and being involved in the community and involved in the area, which I found I really was passionate about once I got into it. Again, a big part of my job is to be out in the area and involved in the community, and I really got into doing community-focused things, and it really just felt good to be involved in things that were for the betterment of others and not for myself. So I definitely found a passion with that. After a couple of months here, I got involved in a couple different things. I met with Denise about 2 years ago and got involved with the chamber. That was a very, very, very good thing for me, of just forcing myself to go to things where I didn't know people and meet new people and become comfortable, walking up to a person, introducing myself that I don't know. That was a very good opportunity, and that has led then to me getting involved in a lot of other things. So I am a member of the Lions Club, so that was my first service organization that I was a part of. We're really trying to work right now on building up the membership a little bit, so we've had some initiatives we've been doing with that. So I did get the club to join the chamber, and we're going to do some meeting with some other clubs. But I really enjoyed the experience of being in a group setting like this and learning about people and their businesses and what they do, and planning things that give back, which is kind of what attracted me to joining the Rotary as well. I remember the first time I met with Denise, she had said something to me about it, and that was 2 years ago, and I just joined now. So, but I'm also on the finance committee at Echoes. I'm what's called a homework helper, which I do with Marty every once in a while at the middle school through E-Town Communities of Care. That's a very rewarding program. If anyone has the availability ever on a Wednesday or a Thursday, we just go in for an hour and sit with the kids that are struggling and help them do their homework and their past due assignments. It can be a little challenging sometimes, but it feels really good when you're able to sit down with the kid and show them what to do, and you can actually figure out the work on your own and not have to Google it, which doesn't happen too often with me, especially if it's math. So those are kind of some of the things I'm involved in the area. I really enjoy giving back and being involved in things, and this club is very, very active in the area, which I know, so I'm excited to help out here and to get to know everybody better and to be involved in some service organizations and all that good stuff. So, and my previous manager when I worked in Mount Joy was always involved in the Mount Joy Rotary. I don't know if any of you know Chris Silvestri at all. He was the president there a couple years ago, but he's been my mentor through my later half of my career, and always seeing him going to Rotary was always something I thought that if I ever moved into that position, I'd definitely like to look at getting involved in. And I've followed his lead through the last couple years with everything, so he's a good one to follow. So that's really all about me. So thank you guys for listening. Does anybody have any questions for me at all or anything?
You mentioned your fiance. Are you married now?
So she's my ex-wife now at this point. I actually just got divorced about a month ago, but no, you're good. But yeah, so I stayed in the area, and I have no plans to leave the area. So.
Any other questions for Adam?
I have a question.
Yes.
Your passion for all that you do,
yes.
Helping out, is that your own, or is that part of your job?
A little bit is part of it. I think I probably do. I do more than probably expected, just because I enjoy it, and I've really liked getting involved in organizations and getting to meet people. There's definitely a component of it that we are asked to do, but I do like to think that I do a little bit more than I'm asked to do.
You definitely do.
Yeah, tell Aaron that. It's my boss. Yes?
So what are your hobbies?
My hobbies. Big sports guy. All New York sports. Sorry, everybody. Huge Mets fan, so I've enjoyed getting to meet Benny out there. Big Giants fan, which I'm not going to share that too loudly right now unless... Yeah. You're welcome. He would not have had that year if he was on the Giants, so you guys can all have it. But I definitely did not have furiously refreshing Twitter to see if Aaron Rodgers signed with the Giants on my bingo card for this week. But I don't know, either them or the Steelers, it sounds like. But at least it'll make watching games on Sunday a little bit more active. But, so sports, I'm a big movie guy. I love all the... I was a big comic book kid, so I love all the Marvel movies and Star Wars and all that kind of good nerdy stuff. Got into running about a year ago. Actually, when my ex-wife and I split, that was a very good outlet for me. So not an outdoor runner, but I started running on a walking pad, which is a terrible idea, so don't do that. But hurt myself on that, and then started running on a treadmill, which I actually just died the other day, which I was very unhappy about because it's only about 6 months old. So trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. But yeah, those are probably the main hobbies that I have. So
Did you find our club online, or did somebody invite you?
Several different people. So Denise mentioned it to me a couple times. But the BJ Reedy, I guess, would have been the one that sponsored me. He had invited me to go to a BNI group in Hershey, and I went to that with him, and it just wasn't the right fit just with work for me to be able to join that. And then he had mentioned Rotary again at that point, and I was hoping to try to get involved into something else, so that was kind of what brought me to it. So, yeah. Yes, Ralph?
At our table, we were talking about cultures.
Yes.
Hospitals, and I think that's vital and important. So I'm impressed and encouraged that you care about the people thing and the culture of an institution and how that can impede or enhance the effectiveness. And that kind of sensitivity is vital, I think.
Yes, I would agree. And Jim can back me up on this. or the company that we work for is a very, very, very culture-based organization. I remember the first day that I was up in Mechanicsburg at our headquarters for training. I remember them talking about the culture and the way the company was run and, you know, what they stand for. And I was so jaded from working in a restaurant for 10 years that I was sitting there the entire time thinking this is just lip service. This isn't actually how they are. And I mean, that is how it is. I mean, they take care of us. They care about us. You know, I'll be there 9 years in September, and you know, the company's changed a lot over those 9 years, but they've never lost that ultimate goal of doing what's best for, you know, the member and the employees, and more than anything, the community, because we are very, very community focused, which is kind of, I guess, maybe unlocked where my feelings with that. So, anybody else? All right. Well, thank you, guys.
What time does this meeting go till? 1. I thought it was 1:30. I'm just getting started. I got jokes and stuff yet.
Dan, we have a backup. Not a backup speaker, but an additional speaker. I asked Denise if she would also share some of her experiences at Pets.
Yeah, come on up, Denise. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, well, it's going to be 2 minutes. I don't know if I have a lot to say, but he asked me to share about my experience at Pets. So Pets is President-elect Training Seminar, but it's now being changed next year. It's rebranded to Liberty Pels, which is President-elect Leadership Seminar. I think Pels, P-E-L-S. But anyway, it was Pets. The theme was Ted Lasso. So who's watched Ted Lasso?
Love it.
Oh, okay. Look at
Fourth
that.
season's coming out.
Okay, well, I had not watched the show. I did have to come home and subscribe to Apple TV. Now, I already had Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime, what else? And I had to subscribe to Apple TV so that I could watch Ted Lasso. It is an excellent show, so I do suggest watching it. And there are a lot of leadership tidbits in there. Ted's an interesting leader. So that was the theme of the weekend. We started out Thursday night with a meet and greet, and Mario was there, our RI president-elect, and our whole goal of our dinner is to get him there. So it was a good opportunity to actually personally invite him. I personally invited him, and so did about 12 other people. So I think he got the message. The rest of the weekend was spent in and out of different speakers. But I forgot. A couple things I wanted to share with you, a couple things that Mario said that stuck with me. One thing he said is Rotary is not who we are, but it's what we do. And that we should never look at the problems, but always look for the opportunities. And we can sell Rotary as the best school of leadership out there. And it's so true. Because since joining the club, I've had so many opportunities, whether it be RLI or learning, what are we going to tomorrow? Learning, I forget. Assemblies, or the conferences that we go to, and all of the things. There's so many opportunities to learn to be a leader, but also to serve and servant leadership. So there were a couple of things he said that I thought were really important. The rest of the weekend, as other president-elects have come up here and said, was spent sitting around tables with people who are president of their club for like the 7th time because their club is so small and they can't get anyone, or new president-elects, but their club is much smaller and in a different place. So you always feel a little bit like a rock star when you go down there from the E-Town Club, because we're doing a lot of great things, and we really are. But I think we have to be very careful that we don't become complacent in the fact and thinking we're so healthy, we're so great, because there's always room for improvement. There's always room to get members engaged. And so some of the things I spent the weekend doing were really just thinking about what my goals will be. We did have an excellent speaker on the Rotary Foundation. And I've already shared my why I'm here for Rotary, because I wanted to drink beer on Monday nights, and that was the only way I could get into Moo Duck. But after I was there and I went to a couple of things, I drank the Kool-Aid, because I saw the impact that Rotary has, not only in Elizabethtown, not only in District 7390, but in the entire world, and how collectively we can do some really pretty incredible things. And my heart was, as many of you know, was in Accra, Ghana, and I had been there several times. And as I'm coming up on this presidency for this 100th year, which, how many of you were sitting in the room when you grilled me for an hour to see if I would qualify for this? Were a couple of you in that room? Yeah. It was so long ago, right? But here I'm standing right, on the edge of becoming president of this so important year, and started thinking about Ghana and a global grant and the things that we could do, and it's possible. This club in Elizabethtown, it's possible to have a grant for $100,000 to provide medical equipment for a medical facility in a slum community where there's no access to medical care. Rotary is a lot more than just a service project here or there. It's a lot more than just the fun we have drinking beer on a Monday night, or here laughing on a Friday, getting together, meeting one another. There is a bigger picture to Rotary, and the foundation is very important, and the work that they do is very important, and giving to the foundation is very important. And I don't feel like we talk about that enough, so I think it's something you're going to hear out of my mouth a lot next year. You'll probably get tired of hearing it, but that's because we have the ability, just small things together, to do something really huge and make huge impacts in the world. And so my time at PETS was spent just being inspired to make sure that we're not just a complacent club, even though we're healthy, we're large, it's a great club, we do a lot of great things, and we do, and it's phenomenal. But it's more about how can we get more people engaged, how can I get more of you just to drink the Kool-Aid with me and to see the impact that we can have, and that you all have a part to play. I don't care if you give $10 a month to the foundation, if you go to a service project, because maybe you can't do $10 a month, or if you come to a meeting and you pour into the person sitting next to you at the table. Whatever it is, whatever you have the ability to give, you each play an important role. And I think together, collectively, next year, we're going to have an amazing year. And I think that a lot of things are going to happen within our community, but also globally, and that's because that's the impact that Rotary has. So I don't know if you've thought about your why lately. I don't know if you've dug deep into that or thought about that recently, but I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to go to any opportunity you have to learn more about Rotary, whether it's RLI or if it's a learning assembly or if it's the conference that's coming up in April. Hear the stories, hear the impact, hear what's happening not only in District 7390 but around the world, because I think it'll change you, because I know that Rotary has absolutely changed me. So thank you.
Looking forward to continuing the tradition of great leadership in our club next year. Anybody have anything else for the good of the club? Yes.
Regarding the conference, it's a Friday, Saturday, but they do have a lower price for just Saturday, in case Friday doesn't work.
Talking about for a district conference, right?
District conference in Hershey.
Okay. One thing I forgot to mention is a Mother's Day 5K coming up May 11th. It'll be our 9th annual one. Stepped off at 3 o'clock. We're done by 4. We'll be looking for volunteers. More to come. We're going to get 10 years down next year. So have a great week, everybody. Good to see you here.